Good morning. Happy
Good morning.
Friday.
Yay. Yes, it is Friday, and I'm good and glad and happy for that. You are tagged up. So
Awesome.
there we go. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dark Roast. I'm Donna Stroll, and I am here with the beautiful Rose Short.
Hello. Just adding this to my profile.
There you go. So today we are going to talk about design, and we're going to basically cover some design basics for you because we use graphic design in marketing all the time. Visuals are sort of our way to pull people in without even using our words, right? And I know that not everyone is a graphic designer, and it can get pretty overwhelming, or it can be frustrating where you think you've done something, and people are coming at you like, well, why you got this, or why'd you do that, or whatever. It's just one of those things where it can be really frustrating. It can be time consuming. And it doesn't have to be that way. So today we're going to talk about some of the basics. And at the end, we're also going to provide you with a ton of free tools that you can use for your designing. Okay.
Yes. We love free tools.
Yep. Free tools are, I use them all the time. I use them all the time. I do pay for certain things, but generally speaking, yeah. I mean, it's there, it's free. Why not use it? Right? There's no need to add an extra expense to your marketing budget. So,
100%.
okay. So I'm going to
Okay.
let you kick it off.
Yes. So we're going to talk about the basics. And the first basic is one that I absolutely love the way it sounds is the visual hierarchy.
Okay. So, visual hierarchy is basically how you arrange things on your design, right? So, think about how you're reading things, right? You want to draw your eye to the most important thing. So that's going to be your biggest thing, right? So if we're talking about text in a design base, your headline, or your key element, the thing that you want to stand out. So whether it's a sale price or a key feature or an important date, these are the things that are going to be boom, that's your biggest, right? And then it just goes down from there. It's really quite simple, right? You're just going to arrange them in order of importance. So your biggest is going to be your most important, your smallest is going to be your least important, or the thing that's not, that you don't want the most eyes on. It's pretty straightforward,
Yeah,
because
that makes total sense.
yeah, well, we're visual creatures, right? So, and we're going to follow things the way that they follow. And a couple of quick ways you can do that is, think about how you scan things, right? When you look at something, your eyes look here, look there, look here, look there, right? We will either do what we're told, and we won't even mean to, but we will, or we're just our eyes will naturally fall to a certain place. Like really old school in newspapers, when you open up a newspaper, the first thing that you do, naturally, most people, is they look to the top left. And even though we read from, right to left, when we open up a book, we open up something that has multiple pages, we always look top left. So that space in marketing advertising is actually one of the most expensive spaces to buy if you're not buying a full page, is that top left corner, because
Hmm.
our eyes naturally go there. So think about that. Think about when you look at something, where do your eyes automatically scan? Because most likely that's going to be where your audience is also going to be looking, unless you're completely a wild child and a rebel.
Love it.
A good tool that you can use is Canva. We'll talk a little bit more about the tools later, but right now we're just going to go over some of the basics. So the next
Yes.
one we have is consistency. And I'll let you
Heck
begin.
yes. Okay, so we talk about this all the time. Consistency is key, right? And it's the same with posts. It's the same with when you're doing stuff like this. You want to use the same colors, the same fonts, the same styles to build out the materials to build brand recognition. You don't want to have like one theme that's bright pink and then bright blue and then neon green and then black and red. Like you want to keep it all very consistent That way it's very quickly recognizable as yours. Make sure it matches who you are. Like, don't design something that you hate, because then you're just going to be staring at it all the time and it's not going to be fun and it's not going to be enjoyable for you at all.
And it's also not going to be a representative of you.
Yeah, exactly. And authenticity is, if I can say it right, authenticity is key in so much of this. And then don't get too crazy with it either, because like maybe you are a very tie-dye over the top kind of person, but you want to keep your images and your designs a little bit more simple. You don't want to have too much going on. You don't want it to be too busy, because it can get very confusing if they really just don't know where to look.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the next thing is color theory. Now, we learned some of this in elementary school, you know, what our color blocks and stuff like that. But really, it's just the art of choosing complementary colors. All right. And so colors evoke emotion. There's a reason that red is stop. Okay. Orange is a color that denotes action and danger, which is why a lot of big equipment companies use it. Any kind of, you know, construction tends to use orange and black, or yellow and black is another one. It's the same thing. It's a bright, and bees, wasps. Okay. These are colors that, you know, denote pay attention and be careful. And all colors have emotions attached to them, right? So having the right color schemes can really make your content pop. And it also lets people know who you are without actually saying a word, right? So your palette, people will judge you by your palette. So if you use a lot of pinks and purples and stuff like that, people are automatically going to start thinking girly. Right? They're going to start thinking, okay, you're softer, you're more, you know, if you use more pastels and stuff, they're going to automatically think that you're softer. You know, if you're using very like bold colors or, you know, very bright primary colors and stuff like that, they're going to automatically think vibrant, you know, laugh, jokey, artistic, that kind of thing. If you're using blacks and reds and golds, they're going to think more in terms of black and red will be more passionate, whereas black and gold, more professional, you know, more not professional in the sense like business professional, but professional in the sense like, what's the proper word for it? Financially higher up, like it just conveys. Yeah, more affluent. That's the word I'm looking for. So, you know, your professional colors tend to be a lot more blues. You know, like if you look at a lot of business, they're using blues and they're using greens, and they're, you know, they're very solid colors. So if you're a more earthy person, you're going to tend towards more earthy colors, right? And that's what people are going to see when they see those colors. So it's a good idea to really think about not only like when you're thinking color theory, not just what colors go together, but what kind of emotions they're conveying, and that they're evoking the right emotions, the things that you want your customer base to immediately have those feelings. Okay. And there's a really cool tool called Coolors. It's Coolors. And it's actually really neat. It helps you pick color palettes, and we'll put that link down below as well.
That is awesome. And then secondary to that, of course, is your font, your typography.
Fonts are the bane of my existence. I have spent more time looking for the right font than I do pretty much anything else.
Yep, I can believe it.
Yeah. It's all about selecting the right fonts for whatever it is that you're trying to put out there. Fonts they can be loads of fun, right? Because, and yeah, it's a serif font or a non-serif font. So a non-serif font is better for on screen, most cases. And the reason, like, especially if you're doing a lot of text, because it's the straight lines. There's no little ticks at the end. That's a non-serif font. A serif font has the little ticks. So like Times New Roman, serif font, Arial, non-serif font, pretty straightforward. But that's if you're doing like a big block of text. But when you're doing design, there is a multitude of options that you can put out there. Again, like your colors, you want it to match what you're trying to say. So if you're an artist and you're using the bold colors, then funky fonts are absolutely cool. But if you're trying to do something and coming across as a very, professional or serious, you probably don't want to use those funky fonts. You want to stick to some very, corporate style fonts. And Canva is good for that. It gives you actually like display and corporate and all of those things. So it makes it a little bit easier for you. They also, fonts, you can have wacky, you can have folksy, you can have spiritual, professional, like it really doesn't matter. There's fonts for every kind of mood. Another key thing that you want to think about when using fonts, when you're doing design, is no more usually than 3 per design project. If you start using a different font for everything, it's cluttered, it's messy, and it just looks, for lack of a better word, tacky.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of want to be careful with the fancy ones, right? Because sometimes like they look really cool, but they're so fancy you can't read what it actually says.
Yes, readability is another key thing when you're choosing your fonts. I know that for a while there was like the hairband style fonts, and they look super cool, but who the hell knows what it's saying, right? And if this is your brand or your logo, you're trying to put out there, you want people to easily be able to identify it and understand what it is saying. And usually it's like your headline, your subtitle, and then your text, your body text. So that's the 3 fonts that you're going to use, right? You're going to use one for your main, one for your, and you can use the same all the way through, just different sizes. There's no law that says you can't, but try to stick to no more than 3. And that applies for if you're doing a full-on brochure or you're just doing a Facebook cover, right? It really doesn't matter. You want to try and keep that consistent. And again, match it to your brand. So your images, your colors, your fonts all have to really convey who you are.
It makes total sense.
So the next one is white space.
Yes, white space or negative space. So empty areas around your elements. They're very crucial because it can help prevent clutter. It can help prevent it from being too busy, but you can overdo it as well to where it looks really sparse. So you don't want to fill every spot, essentially. You want to keep the information very short and concise, especially like think of it in terms of a business card, right? If you get a business card that's like 30 different little thumbnails and whatnot, like it's going to be very hard to figure out what it is. Whereas if it's just the person's information, you're like, oh, okay, this is nice and clean and it makes sense. So when you're using your white space, use it very well. Keep key points in the white space. And again, just make sure that it's not too busy. Make sure that everything flows and that you're not just blasting your audience with all this information, like like the adverts that like move at like second, 1 second every time the frame's changing or whatever. That can be great for video, but you don't want that in a photo.
Yeah, and like you say, it's not a brochure, right? Yeah. You're not giving them a whole catalog. It's a calling card, right? You want them to contact you to ask for more information. When I worked in a print place, that was like, as a designer, I don't know how many times I had to tell people, your business card is not your brochure. Your business card says who you are, a few key elements. So your cover photos generally are basically like your business card. A few key things that you offer, and then either contact information or, in the case of online, a call to action. Click for more info or whatever. That's, link here, or, learn how to grow, or whatever it is you want it to say. But you're keeping it real simple because, clutter, clutter, clutter. People do not like clutter. We don't like it. Visually, what happens is we just, and we're not there anymore as soon as we see it. So,
yep. Which
then
leads into our next one, which is the
which
imagery.
is imagery, exactly. So this is really about using good images, right? High quality images. It's what's going to allow your content to be visually appealing to your audience, but also it's going to set the tone for the quality. Like if you use crappy images and low res, like you can see even online, it's all fuzzy or blurry, or, you know, you have like a picture of you on your cover, but then there's like people in the background and there's all sorts of other stuff going on. And it's, you know, you can see that it's not a professional, or, you know, and yet you want people to treat you like a professional. Your images also have to be professional. And the nice thing about it is there are so many places that you can get free images, that you don't have to settle for crap images, even for yourself. Like, you know, you can take a half a dozen photos, or in the case of like I did for one of my Facebook photos that I've used for other things, I took 20 shots. And then I picked the one that I was like, okay, yeah, that's good enough. And but with choosing your good imagery, you got to make sure, again, that it matches your brand, that it matches what you're trying to promote at that moment, or whatever you're trying to do. And is a high quality, high resolution, especially if you're trying to do print stuff. So like, say you're trying to create some digital products, make sure your images are high enough resolution, which is 300 DPI. Okay, that's your minimum. You want something to be 300 DPI. Most online images that you're just going to try and capture are going to be about 72. They are not going to print well. And something that may seem like this big on the screen, when you actually resize it down to 300, it's going to end up like this big. Okay. That's just part of the design thing. So you try to make sure that your images are high quality and high resolution. And then there's also AI places. And again, we've got some links below where you can create AI images as well to utilize. And now most of those tend to be a little bit lower resolution, but they're easy to upscale. And because they're AI, they tend to upscale a lot better, as long as you're not trying to make a giant poster size out of it. But for online, they're perfect.
Nice.
All right. So there you go. Now on to the free tools.
Yes. Love the tools.
All right. So there are tons of free tools out there. I use a lot of them. I know that you use some as well. Whether you're looking to do printables or digital products, or for content or branding, there's just the options out there are many, and you can always upgrade at a certain point when you're ready to. Like I've upgraded to the Canva Pro simply because there's just certain things that I don't want to bounce around. Not that I can't do what I need to do somewhere else. I just would rather be able to do it all in one place. So the first one up, Canva. Okay. Canva is pretty much everybody knows about Canva by now. There's loads of different creators out there who offer tips and tricks. They also have their own tutorials on site that you can go through. It's very drag and drop. There's lots of templates. There's lots of graphics and different things that you can do. Yes, a fair chunk of it is pro. So sometimes you do have to scroll a while to find what you're looking for, because they don't make it easy to filter out the free for everything. I mean, they do for a couple of things, but for most things they don't. So you are going to have to make sure that the little crown or whatever isn't in the corner. But I mean, it's a great place if you are really brand new, because there's templates that even if you don't like what's on the template, you can use it as a guide to create your own stuff. So yeah, I like it quite a bit. I use it quite a bit. I do find that certain things frustrate me, like when I create ebooks, because I'm used to using InDesign and whatnot, that sometimes Canva is a little limiting. But if you're not used to making ebooks, it's easy. So
yeah, I love Canva. I'm in it probably 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Yep. most of my cover photos, my thumbnails for my YouTube channels, like all that runs through that. Even my newsletters for Ice Wellness, like there's just tons of stuff I make in it.
Quick tip for Canva Facebook covers. You need to leave about an inch, like visually an inch above and below, because it's not the whole, right? Even though it gives you that big space, it's actually not that's visible. So leave just visually an inch above and below your content. And also think about where you're going to put your picture. Always have your picture on your cover. Okay. It can be a fun picture. It can be a more airy, or it can be a very professional picture, whatever you need that matches your brand. But people want to see you. So try to have it to be just you. Unless, you and your partner are doing the business together and you have a page and you want to make sure that you're both on it, then whatever. But generally speaking, yeah, just you. Try to keep it to just you. And for YouTube, again, the banner is not the right size. So please look online.
Not even close.
Yeah, I looked online. I did a quick search for YouTube banner sizes. If you do that, there's actually a template out there that gives you some really excellent information on where things cut off depending on how you're viewing YouTube. So, just keep that in mind when you're doing that for banners.
Yeah.
The next one is Pixelcut. Now, this one, because in the free version of Canva, you can't do things like remove background, use the magic eraser, or upscale an image, where Pixelcut allows you to do all three of those things for free. So,
cool.
Yeah, so if you have an image that you want to remove the background on, but you don't have Canva Pro, you can just pop it into Pixelcut and it will do the same job. And then you can just move it back over. For images, like say you've got an AI image that's smaller and you want to upscale it, it will do that. So what that does is it tries to fill in the pixels and make it a higher DPI resolution. It works for some things. It won't work for if you're trying to take something really small to something bigger, but it can do it for something where you're just trying to increase the size a little bit, or it's a good size, but you just want to increase the resolution more. So that's a good thing to use.
Makes sense.
Oh, and you can also edit, clean up some images. Like that, a magic eraser will allow you to get rid of like that little thing that's off to the side or whatever that you don't want.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Coolors or Coolars, I don't even know how to pronounce it. You talked about earlier for color palettes, shows you what works, what doesn't. Basically just helps you make sure that your colors are in harmony versus counterproductive and distracting.
Yeah. And the other cool thing that it does, because it's free, like it has a free version as well. You can give it like a color and it'll give you some colors that match that. So like say you have a color you really like, and then it can provide you a good palette of like 5 or 6 different colors that go well with that. It also provides you the color number. So you can put that into Canva and then save that as one of your brand colors, or save the whole palette as your brand colors. And then Canva will have that information for future.
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
And then fonts.
Fonts. I love fonts. I personally use Yatex because it's a lot of fun, but Fontspace is the one that you were talking about.
Yatex is great for online.
Yeah.
So like for your social media, converting and having some fun with that. For design, you'll want to use you want to have the whole world at your hand for fonts. Now, Canva, again, has a good, fairly decent library of fonts that are free, but so does Google Fonts and Fontspace. And with Fontspace, I don't use Google Fonts a whole lot. I just know that it has a good good library. Fontspace has an amazingly large library, and it also tells you whether it's for public or commercial use.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So whether you can use it for private use only, or if it's allowed for commercial use as well, which a lot of them are, you can type in whatever it is you want. So like say you have a header and, Ice Wellness, you type that in and select a font size and then the style of font you want. And it will show you a list saying Ice Wellness. So you can actually physically see what it's going to look like. And I find that that's super helpful. So I do like Fontspace. I can get lost there. I can get lost looking for fonts, and I can get lost looking for images. And what I do is I just save. Like I save them. Oh, I'm like, oh, I like that font. I might not be using it right now, but I'm going to save it because I might use it later.
Right. I've totally done that too.
Yeah, always. I do the same thing with images. It's like, yeah, later. I might need that. That's a good and cool image. So.
Yep. Inkspace is another one. So it's a vector design tool with some more advanced features.
Yeah, and it's open source.
Nice.
Which is, I like open source stuff. The GIMP is also open. GIMP, not the GIMP. GIMP is also an open source. GIMP is the open source version, basically, of Photoshop.
Okay.
So, and it's a fantastic tool. Inkspace is open source as well. So vectors are things that you use for like stickers. You can scale them big, small, whatever. It doesn't really matter because they're not an actual hard image. They're a scalable image. So these are the things that you would create in Adobe Illustrator. You have lots of little points, and then you can just grow and shrink and stuff like that. So Inkspace does that. It does have a complete guide and tutorial. So yes, going in, there might be a bit of a learning curve, but there is a lot of information there to help you. If that's something like, say you want to create stickers, or you want to create designs that you can turn into posters, or as small as a stamp, and you want to be able to just move that around. You can also create your own fonts if you wanted to.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Now, the next one that we have is images.
Yes. The Unsplash and Pixabay. Good, high quality, royalty free images, which we love. Basically just helps enhance your design with professional photos and even videos that, you're not going to get in trouble for using.
Yeah. So I don't think Upsplash allows you to have, I think Upsplash, same as Pexels.com, only has images, whereas Pixabay also has videos and music.
Pexel has videos.
Does Pexel have videos? Oh, yes, they do. Yeah. Pixabay, I think the reason I tend to Pixabay is because it's not just photos. It also has art, like digital artwork. So
gotcha.
It has a mix, whereas Pexels and Upsplash are just photo compilations of different kinds. So that's why I chose to add Pixabay in there, because it does have, maybe you don't want a photo. Maybe you want like a design kind of image instead, or you want a cartoon, or, a line drawing or something like that.
Gotcha. And of course, piggybacking off of that, we have AI art.
Yep.
So Playground and Leonardo are two that are free to use that allow you to create AI artwork and whatnot. There's another one that I had that for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called.
There's tons of them. There's crayons, there's DALL-E, there's, I'm trying to think of the Gemini, I believe, is another one, or something like that. It's so there's quite a few of them. I like playground.com, not playground.ai. They're different. I mean, they both have free, but I find that playground.com gave me better results and gave me more credits. Leonardo also has a lot of free credits that you can use before you max out. So nice. And then, CapCut also has like AI video. And Canva has its own AI tool, although Canva's is
well, I mean, even Facebook now, right? You can create an AI post. So like it's being integrated everywhere. It's just a matter of getting good at it and finding the tools that work for you and knowing the prompts.
Yep, and you can search for prompts. You can follow people who provide prompts. Just look for AI prompts in your Instagram or your TikTok. There will be people showing you exactly, some prompts that they've used with what they can do and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
All right.
And then, of course, all of this is bundled into why is graphic design important?
And really, it's important because it is visually communicating your message. Before you even say a word, before they even read the content, you're giving it's the cover to your book, right? Anybody who says don't judge a book by a cover has never tried to sell a book with a crappy cover. Right? You can
So
have
true.
you can have the best book in the world, but if the cover is not inspiring, people do not want to look inside. Now, while you shouldn't do that, we do that because we are visual creatures. All right. So it's going to increase your engagement. All right. Good visuals just draw people in. Pretty straightforward.
Yep, it's going to build your trust, right? So it's going to, if it's professional looking, then you're going to come across as way more professional. If it's, cluttered, then maybe people aren't going to want to work with you. So it's going to be super important to building that trust and that brand loyalty.
Yeah, if you put out chaos, people are going to think you are chaotic. It's going to boost your conversions because people are going to see it. They're going to, it helps people, guide people. A good design will guide people exactly where you want them to go, from where you want them to look to what you want them to do. Right. So it's going to help your conversions. And so making sure that your design is on point is going to help that for you.
Yep. And then of course, brand recognition, right? Consistency. Like we have it so many times where you see black and white with like a check mark and you think Nike because of the swoosh, right? Like it's going to build that up. There's certain color schemes that when you see them, you're just like, oh yeah, this brand. It's just automatically your brain goes there. And that's because they've done a really good job of building out that brand recognition. So it's going to be key, especially if you're going across multiple platforms, because you want your Instagram and your Facebook and your Pinterest and your YouTube and everything to be recognizable with each other. Because again, it leads that consistency, but it also gives just that extra layer of trust.
Yep. So, that's all of this is what's going to help increase your engagement. It's going to help just have people see you as being a more professional person. It's going to build that trust where they're going to be more comfortable with you. All of those things. And like we said, for those that are on a budget, there are tons of free tools out there. And I will add those to the comments section and to the description, just so that you guys have access to them. We aren't making any money off of that. We just want you guys to be able to, have free tools and be awesome.
Exactly.
All right. So I think that is about it for us today, my dear.
I think so too. Pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah. So next week, I was thinking.
I love what you're thinking because I saw what you're thinking.
Overcoming analysis paralysis, taking action and iteration, because the longer we look at something, sometimes the harder it is to take a step, because we get information overload, all of those things. We, trying to now analyze what we're doing and is this the right step? So let's talk about
Or we just don't know, right? We haven't been told how to read the data. And so maybe you can tell that your percentage is low, but you don't know why.
Yep. So instead of feeling stuck and lost and in a panicky situation, low-key panic, let's not. All right. As always, if you have any questions, any comments, let us know. If you you can reach out to myself or Rose. We have different skill sets. I'm on the design. Rose is great with a lot of the technical stuff, especially the analytics and videos. So again, if you've got questions, reach out to us. If I can't answer you, maybe Rose can. And if Rose can't answer you, maybe I can. And if we can't, we will find somebody who can. We will find you the answers, because that's how we roll. If you're watching this on a replay, please drop a hashtag replay. And don't forget to subscribe, like our podcast, Feel free to share it if you thought it was helpful. And until next time, happy Friday, people.
Yes. Enjoy it.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.